I just really think about creating a nice atmosphere. So when I get here, I turn on the lights, the little lights that there are. I make coffee, and it's just about making it a comfortable, nice place to be in. Often though, the users will be waiting outside for me and my colleagues to get here, so they will walk in with me, which means you have to be right away ready on the spot to be there for them. They walk in with me. It's in a basement, which we have to think about when we work here. There is an aspect of safety and also comfort for the users coming here. Whether it's men or women coming here, we have to think about how many people we let in at the same time. There isn't really, or hasn't been, an issue gender-wise. We can have men and women at the same time, but we have to think about what kind of mindset they're in on the day they get here. It's always an assessment. I always look at the people coming here to see where they at today. Sometimes I make sure that a woman gets the space she needs, or I try to, and like keep her in a room next door if I have a possibility to do that. I always think about, should I leave the door open? We have another door over here that goes into Hugs and Food, because these are nice people, but they're also mentally ill people. They can have like really bad days, so you always have to think of your safety. In 2015, Project Outside opened the doors to Locker Room for the first time. Our target group in our outreach work are men and women who are homeless, but also isolated and the most vulnerable in the homeless people group. It doesn't matter what nationality you are and what age you have, what gender, you're welcome here. Before Project Outside established Locker Room in 2015, we saw a simple but unmet need for storage for homeless people. Experiences from our outreach work show that people rough sleeping outside in parks, on the street, in playgrounds, wherever they sleep, they tend to lose their things, their valuables and things in general. This because of theft, or due to the council will clear up places sometimes. And most of our users are very mentally ill, which just makes them bad at knowing where their stuff are and taking care of their stuff in difficult times. And due to the simple fact that living on the street is a chaotic and ever-changing lifestyle, and you lose your stuff. Losing the little stuff you have can give you an even more chaotic and more stressful daily life, because now you have to think of your basic needs. Where do I get a sleeping bag so I don't freeze at night? Where do I get clean clothes so I don't look raggedy? A lot of the men and women coming here, they tell us that they don't want to look homeless. More important is that if you lose your personal documents, like your residence permit or your health card or your passport, you can't prove or show ID if you're stopped by the police, or if you need to open a bank account or get a job even. Also, personal valuables like family photos and just things that are important to you, and jewelry can be heartbreaking to lose. Because they can't be replaced, and it makes your vulnerable situation even worse. Or at least that's what I hear from the people coming here. That's why we want them to have a place that they can come and have the little storage for safekeeping. Not too long ago, we had a young guy who comes here on and off. He had a rough night outside. He met strangers, he had too much to drink, there was fights going on, and the next day he just lost all his stuff. He couldn't find his passport or any of his personal documents. At that time he was looking at a camper so he could get a place to call home, which he's been talking about for ages really. But now he lost his personal papers, and just the whole process, which is a prolonged process, of getting him those papers again just dragged out his situation. So the storage is just really important to them. So if I'm successful with making contact with a woman on the street and I make the assessment that she could benefit from locker room, I will ask her if she would like to come with me on the day I meet her or another time. A lot of the women I meet can be reluctant to come here, and that goes for the men too. Mostly because these are people who's been in and out of shelters and healthcare and social systems, and they can be reluctant to work with yet another social worker. But I try to tell her about this possibility and that she can come here whenever it suits her. If she comes here, I always make sure to tell her that using locker room is completely voluntary. She can use it whenever she pleases. We would though like to see her once a month because we need to know that the lockers are used, and I always hope to see her more. I tell her that she can make an appointment with me and we can go whenever it fits her day. Or she can choose to use the opening hours. We don't keep locker room open throughout the day because we want to target our user group, the most vulnerable and isolated people of the homeless group. This, even though we know that there's a high demand for storage for homeless people, but we want to keep this a special offer for the most vulnerable and isolated people. Some people like to make an appointment so they can come here alone. They like the quiet, having it to themselves. They can speak to me or my colleague easier. And other people like to come here when there are other people around, so they can kind of blend in and not talk too much. Just come, open the locker, get their stuff, maybe use the bathroom, and then leave again. So if she does come here, I tell her that she can have a locker, and I show her the paperwork that we have for it. It's one piece of paper, and it basically says you can store your things as long as it's not livestock and illegal stuff like drugs and weapons. Then they have to sign it, but they don't have to use their own name. And I haven't really experienced any of our users not being okay with this. Especially with the women coming here, I can see how they use locker or their locker as a tiny piece of private space, a tiny home. They come here to change their clothes and also just to hold and look at their private stuff. When she's here, we also offer a shower. We have different personal hygiene stuff like razors, shampoo, shower gel, and also tampons and pads if she needs that. She can have a fresh towel, and we have bathrobes that she can use for after. We even have nail polish if she likes that. I don't just offer the shower and pads to everybody. Again, it's an assessment. Where are we in the relation? Is the connection okay for me to offer her that? I once had a woman who got really upset and offended when I offered her the shower. I thought it was totally fine, but I think she felt like I was calling her poor and dirty when I offered her that, which really made me aware that you gotta really understand that working with these people really is all about connection and relation. Not a lot of women uses the shower, but the ones that do, I really see a big change in them. They go in there, they wash their hair, they blow dry it, they use lotion on their skin, and they just pamper themselves. And they come out with a renewed energy really. And that can be a big thing, even if it's just for the day, especially when you're a homeless woman who live your life hour to hour. So here in our storage room, we have clothes, shoes, and sleeping bags if she needs that. We also have a washer and dryer if she wants to wash her clothes. Some of this we buy and some of it is donated. When I offer clothes to a woman, I make sure that she needs it, because some of them will come back here to kind of use it as a closet, and we only have so much. I also make sure to think about what kind of woman she is, because homeless women tend to think a lot about their appearance when they walk out to the world. So rough sleepers in Denmark tend to wear a lot of layers. This because the weather shifted and they have to be able to take it off and on, and make sure they don't freeze at night. The opening hours in locker room has changed a lot over the years and still changes. This because we want to make sure that we constantly target our user group, and that Project Outside keep their focus to be a place for the most vulnerable and most isolated homeless people. We want to make it as inviting and open as possible, but at the same time make sure that it's not a soup kitchen. As you now know, Locker Room offers a cup of coffee, a locker, a shower, a toilet, a washer and dryer. But I think the most important thing that we offer here is our time and ear. She comes here to talk, to just tell me over and over again what's going on in her life, how she's stuck at something, what's bothering her. Sometimes she just tells me about her thoughts, and I listen, and sometimes, if she lets me, I will guide her a little bit. Locker room is a good way to establish and try to establish a connection and a relation that in the long run can give me the possibility to help her with different aspects of her life, starting with harm reduction, a sleeping bag, but then going into, could she be sleeping inside somewhere? Does she tells me that she has other needs? Does she need economical help? Does she need help going to the doctor, talking to a social worker? Locker room is a place where you get a chance to make a connection with people. Working here, you really have to know what partners you can call, which places you can go to get the help that she feels like she needs. That can be many things. I once helped a Polish woman get herbal medicine that she felt like could cure everything that was wrong in her situation. And I helped her with that, and because of that, she felt like I took her seriously, and I could really see a change in her, because she felt like, you know, her opinion was worth something, and that made our relation grow even tighter. Okay. The tasks that we're put to here vary from person to person. All in the sake of offering harm reduction and making a connection, which gets me closer to her and to understand the situation and help her with whatever she feels she needs. Locker room is a moment inside, away from the chaotic and noisy city. It's a place that can be chaotic at times, but mostly it's calm, and it's just a brief calmness for homeless women to be inside and away from the streets. We find that having a locker and a quiet place to come just to collect and storage a few things makes a positive change and a big improvement in the homeless people's living standards. Combined with getting the stability from coming here in the rough life living on the streets can be, locker room is an important place. It's an important place for the users and for us. It's a place to get to know them and to be able to provide space to make relations and offer guidance and help.